Trustee Morton?
Here.
Trustee Ohm?
Yes. To approve the agenda.
Yes.
Okay. Item 5, consent agenda.
I move that we adopt the consent agenda.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Please call Aaron.
Trustee Floyd?
Yes.
Trustee Schaefer?
Yes.
Trustee Griffith? Trustee Morton?
Yes.
Trustee Ohm?
Yes. Okay, reports. So is Knut, is he out there in the ether?
Knut, are you there?
We'd love to hear from you, Knut, if you're with us.
You just left.
Okay. Why don't we jump to you, Kim, and then we'll swing back to Knut if he gets on with us.
Alright, so it's been a while since I've reported to you guys for multiple reasons, but we've had a lot of exciting things happen at the KAKX. I wanted to first give you guys a view of our chronic absenteeism rates. I always like to try to throw that into the conversation whenever possible. You can move on to the next one, Aaron. And this just gives an outline of the chronic absenteeism rates at the different schools and different grade levels. So.
When you have the number of students, that's the number of students who are chronically absent.
Correct.
And so 3 students are absent enough that they make the whole school chronically 43%.
Yep. Yeah.
So, so 58% means that they're absent more than they're present.
So this means that they have had absences. It could be more than 10%. So
Right.
if you're chronically absent, you've had more than 10% of absences. So that's the percentage. So this is the percent of students who have been absent more than 10%. And so it ranges. Some of them have been absent for 25% of the school year.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them, it's very close, like 11. Most of the CompSci students were very close, like within a day. Like today, the numbers could be different, and they could be out of that range. Same went, I think, for Albion School. 2 of them were pretty close. 2 of them were in the really low range that they had attended maybe 72%, 75%. So that's a high absenteeism rate. So it varies. It just means that they've been put in that category. They've missed 10% or more of the school year so far.
How many years have we been tracking this?
For, oh boy, a long time. Yeah.
Is there a way at some point we could get total chart?
Yep. I will bring that back next time I report. I was thinking that as I was doing this, that it would be more helpful to see over time how has it gone up and down. I do know that we are going in the right direction post-pandemic. We were up in the year right after the pandemic, we were in the like 65% range, that 65% of our students had missed 10% or more of the school year, and that's come down every year. Last year, I believe, for the K-8, if I'm remembering correctly, it hovered around 24, which is getting back more in the typical range. Pre-pandemic, we were usually in the 20 to 22 range. I think this is getting more normal, and I'm hoping for the K-8 school, those numbers there. Again, many of those students is within a day or two, so I'm hoping as the year goes on that that number will go down, that they will be popped out of the chronic absenteeism group. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. All right. This is just a shot at the different grade levels this is just K-8 students. So this is something I look at regularly. Just to see, is there a grade level effect? Is there something else going on? Typically, I think you guys asked earlier this year, or maybe even the end of last year, that our kindergarten had typically been very high. We had a lot of absences in kindergarten, and last year that was not the case. Last year, kindergarten had the best attendance rate out of everyone in the schools. So we just like to keep an eye on this. It's a good view to see what's going on. So.
Are you adding pre-K in?
No, so I have to go back and do manually because the state does not track attendance for the TK. so it doesn't show up in Aries, which I can do. I just have to do it manually every day for every student, which I don't right now.
Sounds like they just left it at all.
Yep. All right. Events that have been happening around school. We are doing the script spelling bee this year. So right now the grade level bees are happening. Today the first grade and 7th and 8th graders had their grade level bees, and then we'll have our school-wide bee on the 24th at 10:30 if you're interested in checking that out. We have revamped our PBIS, Positive Behavior Intervention and Support System, and one of the things that we transitioned was, instead of doing individual rewards for students who are following the school expectation, is transitioning it to a class reward. Kind of, we've talked about this a little bit at the board workshop, but really trying to bring in the community aspect of life to our students. And so they've been working toward, they get tickets are recognized for following expectations, going above and beyond, and they get tickets to go toward a whole class reward. So 7th and 8th graders got to go to ice skating in Ukiah, which was a lot of fun. They really enjoyed it. Many of them have never been ice skating before. And it seems like the company that did it did a wonderful job. There were staff out there helping. They had little sleds that those who needed a little help can work with, and it just seems like they had a great time. The 6th grade has just earned their reward, and they're going to go roller skating in Fort Bragg. So that's another exciting. They're really looking forward to that. And so different grade levels do different things. In the K-5, the classroom teachers provide different opportunities when the class receives their reward. The end of the semester is coming up on the 24th, so it's a very busy time for teachers. They're assessing their students, preparing report cards, and getting grades ready, so it's just an exciting time. And then we last week had a STEAM assembly. And Erin, if you go to the next slide. So at this assembly, there are different stations that kids get to interact with. So STEAM is science, technology, engineering, and math. So all of the different stations are based around those ideas and concepts. So all of our students at the K-8 participated in this, and Albion came in as well. Kamshi decided not to for a variety of reasons this time, but they're often invited. So if you could go to the next one.
Is that a rebranding of STEM?
Yeah,
Oh, it's adding arts to STEM.
yeah.
You said, yeah, arts.
Arts, there we go. Yeah, yes.
Has that been accepted?
Yes, yeah, it's the new.
That's the new STEM. Thank you. I was not aware of that.
STEM is now
Education
STEAM.
is always about rebranding the same thing over and over again. So, but the kids really seemed to enjoy it. There were lots of different activities, and for the different grade levels, I was wondering how it was going to fly because they didn't really change the activities that were happening necessarily. And so I was wondering if some of the activities might be too old for some of the kids or too young for some of the kids, but I feel like the different grade levels engaged with it well. So, and finally, I'd like to give a big thank you to the K-8 staff. We have had kind of a crazy couple weeks at the K-8, and this week it was just a good reminder that I work with a really amazing team of educators who step up and join in where they need to help our school community and our students. And this week has been really hard, and it's just shown, again, what amazing staff we have. So I just want to thank everyone that it would be very hard to do my job without the staff that I have. So thank you to them. Yeah.
Thanks, Kim.
Thank you.
Knut, are you out there? Oh, you got your hand up.
Hello, can you hear me?
We
We
can.
can.
All right, great. I switched to my phone, and the microphone is working on here. So I didn't take a survey this month because we haven't really had that much school. Sorry, my word is quite loud. But we haven't really had much school in between last meeting and now. But for the school that we have had, we've definitely had a good start to this this calendar year, and everyone's got right back into academics. We're just taking off, and we also had an assembly, and in that assembly we had some acknowledgments such as honor roll and we also acknowledged people who did not receive any tardies. So that was quite impressive, and there's quite a lot of those. And we also presented some possible sports teams that people could sign up for. Those being, I'm going to forget one of them, but I do know that the big ones this year are boys volleyball. So there's been a lot of hype around that. And there's also been some hype around baseball because they don't just want to do a baseball team, they also want to do a baseball movie. And I've been on the sort of back of that, of like organizing that movie, and that's been interesting. And it'll be interesting to see if that happens. And yeah, it was definitely a productive assembly. And that about covers it all. And yeah, I'll definitely have a survey for next meeting. Thanks.
Comments? No. Thank you. Jason.
All right, so since Kim brought up the chronic absenteeism, thank you, Kim, for doing that. The district is at 23.8 for the year, so that's like Kim said, we're approaching pre-COVID levels, so that's good news. Still room for improvement, but that's good. Wanted to announce that we've hired 2 cafeteria workers, a cook, manager, and a cook to replace longtime employees Diane Price and Trish Evans. It's Haley Garibaldi is going to be our cook manager, and she was most recently a van driver for us, but she had quite a history of being a chef. So excited to have her on board, and then Alicia Burke is going to be our cook. And they have started, and they're going to receive a solid 6 months of training in the kitchen. So I'm hoping that they learn what they need to learn down there, but then can bring some new ideas to the kitchen, which would be wonderful. And then just stuff that's been going on beyond the regular superintendent duties. The maintenance yard, I met with a hauler to potentially move all of our wood debris off the maintenance yard site. We've removed everything off the maintenance site. The electric car, an old chipper, the climbing wall is gone. Old trailers, tires, all that stuff is gone, and the only thing remaining is a lot of stumps and a lot of brush. So we're going to look into whether or not we can do a burn there, a burn pile, but if not, we're going to have to pay quite a bit of money to get that stuff shipped away to Compchi, I guess is where they bring it. The water project, the appeal period for our latest CDP ends on Monday, and as of now, we have not received any appeals, so fingers crossed that Monday will come and go and we can progress with our water storage tank project. Emily and I attended the solar company interviews, the 3 companies that responded to our RFP for our solar project on Friday. And WindSpirit and Emily and I will be meeting with NV5 next week to talk the proposals over and get their recommendations. And then at the February 13th board meeting, NV5 and the Facilities Committee will present their recommendation to you along with the presentation, so you can see all of the RFPs. But then we're going to give a recommendation in the hopes that we can select a company that day to with an intent to award, so they can begin the procurement process, and then use that month to do contract negotiations, and then have a contract signed in March. And in the meantime, I really hope we see more progress on the money that we're supposed to get from the state. And then, let's see, finally, Rob and I are meeting with the city of Fort Bragg. We have been meeting to kind of whittle down our contract, our agreement, our purchase agreement. So we have quite a few of the items finished, except for the big one, which is a transition plan. What's going to happen to our employees and where they will fit into their system and how and when the move is going to take place. We haven't identified a date yet either, but that work is ongoing for the MCN. So I think that's all I had.
When will that be coming back to the board for more action?
I would say probably March would be when the contract would be done, because we want to have a transition plan completely figured out. And they needed, that last meeting, they said they needed a month or two to do more due diligence on their end. So my guess would be March.
Okay. Any other questions or comments, Jason? Okay. MTA, Josh.
So I did not bring Teacher Spotlight for this month, and so it's kind of tended to be a little tough. People are having a tough time just finding the time to fill out those surveys, even though it doesn't take a lot of time. But it's kind of showing me that like people are busy, and so I kind of made some notes from today to just kind of share. There's some things I'm excited about, and really want to share that. And so seeing the school pull together with several different incidents. We've gone from like small incidents to big incidents to like bigger incidents, and it's just seeing the staff pull together from admin to classified to certificated, even the students who were starting like campaign funding for repairs to the school. It was like just amazing. And you see this like, I don't know, I mentioned I'm from Southern California. I'm not used to this kind of, people just coming together. It is such a beautiful thing to see. And I just want to acknowledge that. And the first instinct being protective, but then keeping a sense of humor, checking on each other, following safety procedures. I laughed so much yesterday, and it just felt good. And then we'd hit these deep, dark moments of just, because terrible things have happened, and it's hard. But it was similar. I brought up before the earthquake. There are just amazing things happening. When stuff happens, people come together, and it's just so brilliant to see. At a recent union meeting, we just had our e-board meeting, and so not the full general, but we wanted to recognize that the last few months, they've been hard on the MUSD family. They've had several blows between deaths and families and family friends. And then, personally myself, October, November, and December was really rough. And just trying to get through it and realizing what a sense of community I have from my friends, my teaching people, and then bouncing back now and feeling so much more positive about the brand new year. It feels so good. But another teacher had raised of like, there's some people dealing with some things that are brewing below the surfaces professionally and personally. And so on our end, we're going to work on sharing our resources, access to mental health. Things are, finding resources is one thing, finding who takes our insurance is another. Just making sure even financial things that are out there, because people are having a tough time. One member mentioned, they're so excited that now the taxes, the property taxes, now we're getting that under, but now that means some teachers are getting hit with these bigger expenses that are going to affect them, on a larger scale than they had anticipated. So they're excited, but then it's also that cost of living is just, there's no easy way around that. I also wanted to acknowledge Tobin. One staff member said that they appreciated his support for collaborating during a staff meeting. That really meant a lot. They felt seen, heard, just time to be together to plan, and that he did that, and that was just fantastic. And I also made a note from Kim, who's always compassionate. I wanted to make sure and acknowledge that, because yesterday we had a staff meeting with the 6, 7, and 8 trying to correct our writing passages, and that's when we got some devastating news, and just being together, and what a thing that was. And just, we didn't have to finish the paperwork. The paperwork can sit and wait, and that's a big deal. And it's just going to create more paperwork down the line for us, but that's what we do. So, and then Teacher Spotlight. So since I've been having a hard time, I've been getting from teachers nominating each other. I was going to reach out to Knut and see if we can maybe get some students to share teachers that they remember in the past, teachers now, things that they're appreciating about teachers, because it would probably be good for them to hear, how much they mean to the kids. So, and I think it would be good for our students to reflect on that as well. So, Knut, if you're still out there, I'm going to ask you the best way to maybe get a hold of our high school students and then our middle school students through email. And then awesome news, MUTA Vice President, and I did find out, Jason, it is MUTA according to our secretary. So that's what we're going to stick with, the MUTA. Right. I don't know if we have to file paperwork or anything, but yeah. So that's good. That's good to have some clarification there. But John Moran, he's our vice president, and he had his 200th episode on his radio show last week. And that started during the COVID era with Marshall. Oh, what an incredible thing that families were able to connect. And then when he had his 200th show, watching people tune in from all over the world, Marshall can't say anything from back there, but it was like 25 people tuning in, not to mention the people over the airwaves, and what a special thing that was. And then, speaking of Marshall, in KAKX, we have a 24-hour radiothon coming up, celebrating Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and yeah, it's going to be from 8 a.m. on Saturday to 8 a.m. on Sunday morning. So this is about the third one I've done with him, just being a supportive person, and it's incredible to see what the students pull off. So if you have a chance to tune in to KAKX, make sure you do that this weekend especially. And yeah, I think that's it.
How many shows have you done?
This Friday, tomorrow's going to be my 150th, and I'm like,
Nice.
oh, I'm getting close. And Marshall's like, yeah, you're only like a year and a half away, because that's, in the weeks. It's like, so, and that was when it really hit me of like, wow, 200 shows and the dedication, and we've had to skip some weeks and stuff like that, but it's really a fun thing to do, and so I appreciate that. So, yeah. Any questions or all? Nothing? Cool. Thank you,
Thanks,
guys.
Josh.
Yeah.
Do we have anyone from CMUS out there?
I don't see anyone.
No. Okay. Board trustee reports. Start on there. Mia, anything to report?
No.
Michael?
No, I think Jason took care of what I was going to say about, MCN. I think that it's going to be interesting to see what happens in this with the bids on the solar project, I don't know what they came in at, how they fit into the money that we have allocated and all that kind of stuff, but should be interesting.
I just wanted to once again thank Tobin for his presentation at the board workshop. It was really informative, and I appreciate knowing more about what's going on at the high school. A lot of it's not new, but we need to be reminded, and things do change over time in terms of concerns about drugs and so on. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I second that. I wanted to mention that too. And being one of the people that was very vocal about the cell phone aspect and acknowledging how he took that and then ruminated and brought out the broader picture. I think it was very well thought out, and we had a really good discussion. And there's a lot there.
I thought that the participation in the survey that Anna did was extraordinary, and the comments were raw and incredibly powerful.
No, we're not quite to 5:30. Dawn, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can.
Oh, great. Well, thank you for indulging me via remote today. It's spending way too much time behind a windshield these days. At any rate, as far as finances on the project, nothing has changed. I'm hoping to come in person next month and maybe wrap up the finances with Lathrop so we could get the project closed out and done. But so as of now, there's no more additional cost proposals that I've seen. There will be a few small little things coming up because we've been kind of jiggering things with the punch list, changing door hardware and so on. It wasn't really in the contract. So there'll be another last small couple of change events, but nothing staggering, nothing that's going to skew it that much. Schedule-wise, they're done with the project per se. There's some asphalt and parking still remains, like striping on the west side. Some of it might have started yesterday. No, it's coming up. I was there yesterday, sorry. And all the consultants have been out there and done their punch list. Austin is a project manager for Lathrop. He's been really leaning into it lately. I shared a status report with Jason and I think Winsford as well. They gave me a day or two ago. That's in much more detail, but the short of it is they've got most of the punch list items picked up on. Like I said, there's a few things like some door hardware swaps that we want to do that weren't functioning the way Tobin or the school district wants it to function, so we're changing some things out. Some door sweeps, particularly at the kitchen where there's a large gap at the bottom. Those kind of things need to still be addressed. The hardware guy, I think was out there today to pick up on some of the stuff, but they're waiting on some parts as well. What I got a commitment yesterday is I'm trying to get to the point at the end of this month that we'll have all the paperwork and be able to close out with TSA. My one objective for that is I really want to get the IOR to do his final paperwork and get him off your payroll. And then shortly afterwards, get me off your payroll as well. But and I'm trying to get the O&M manuals together so I can share with Jason and get him up on where documents are for him to reach out to people if things come up. As far as O&M warranty stuff, the one warranty thing that was out there was one of the induction ranges. The oven wasn't working for quite some time now. We finally got a tech out there today. I haven't heard from Carolyn if they got it fixed, but they finally got out there today. The company was working on getting a local, or not local, but a Northern California tech company that service tech in place, and they got one in place finally at the start of January, and we leaned in on them for us to be one of the first ones to get out there and get it serviced. There's some big cooking events coming in, or baking events coming in February. We wanted to make sure it's still functional or is functional. The generator got installed, got tested. I think the training occurred. So we're good on the generator. I think today we had training on the Pelican system, which is the HVAC, how to operate the HVAC. One aspect of it that we're going to change up, and part of it wasn't functioning, is the exhaust fan in the dark room. It was programmed to be run by the Pelican system, and the district's preference is that we just have a 4-hour timer on the wall that we know it's running, and it's not running over weekends where nobody's doing dark room work. So I got QK to give him some direction on what to swap out there, and that needs to occur still. Let me think what else there is.
Could you, Don, elaborate the generator situation? The Foley part has been replaced and it's operational?
Yes, it got replaced from in last month's report. It's operational, tested out, and I believe there was some training for staff to know how to operate it.
Does the generator go on automatically if the power drops?
Yeah, it has an automatic transfer switch, so if the power drops, it goes on automatically. That has to get tested once a month, if I'm not mistaken. I wasn't at the training. So once a month, you'd be running the generator to make sure it's primed and ready to go.
And do you know how much fuel the generator uses per hour?
No, they probably mentioned it at one point, but my memory's not that good. I can look into the paperwork a little bit. I think normally you have to. Oh, I don't know. That's a pretty large one. Let me look into that and see. And then most of the punch list items from all the disciplines have been addressed. One that was not on the mechanicals punch list, but the IOR has been telling them the last couple of months about it. And we're finally getting it set in. There are 3 mechanical units up in the attic that require by code a working platform, a plug, a light. Everybody knows that, except that wasn't installed at those locations. So that's one thing that needs to happen between now and the end of the month. So I could get all the final paperwork for DSA signed over and begin that closeout. But we had a meeting yesterday, and that was one thing that we really pressed on, that they need to solve that. So we can get closed out. My goal is, like I said, by the end of the month, that our final invoice from the IOR would be this month. and then I could close out the financial stuff as well and do that final paperwork. And I'll still be available for Jason, but I'm trying to moonwalk out of here. So, I think that's all I got for today. Um, I'm wide open for questions, as always.
I probably should have absorbed this 3 or 4 times, but I haven't. What exactly can the generator provide for community support, school support in a major power outage, emergency, fire, whatever? How much energy is there, and is there a plan as to how it would be used?
It's hooked up to specific components of the school. It doesn't obviously run the whole school. It runs key things. I'd have to go back to a memo that Mark Kwiatkowski wrote up maybe a year ago to itemize it, but it's not pick and choose. It's once we picked, certain things are hardwired to the generator and other things are not. But it's lights. I don't believe it's big enough to run all the heating, but some of the heating, probably. I would have to go back to that memo from a year ago, but there was decisions on, what do we need to run a school in a smaller capacity, and that's what was hooked up to it.
And is it partially to provide any community services during an emergency or not?
Insofar as the gym is used as a community resource, then the gym, I think, is powered. The kitchen is
Yeah.
powered.
Right.
But is that part of our emergency plan?
Marshall says the radio station is powered. It's not going to run all the heating. I think the lighting might be limited.
Can people come and charge phones or not? Or are there other kinds of, if they need to charge batteries for medical equipment or,
We should probably get a follow-up. Phones don't take very much
Right.
consumption, so
Yeah.
I'm sure as long as there's some plugs, that's definitely doable.
it seems like we should have a plan as to
Yeah.
what we can provide and what we
Yeah.
need to say, sorry, no.
Like we won't have hot water to provide.
Yeah.
And then, like Michael said, a space that could be used as an emergency.
With lighting and so on. Heat,
Well,
Yeah.
no.
no heat.
I don't think any heat. I don't think any of the
Yeah, I
heat pumps-
hesitate saying, I know not all of it because it's all electric heating. That was the difference between when we got 150 kW versus the 250 kW that we're gonna go for. One big thing is, running heaters because it's all electric heat.
Maybe if you could track that down, Don, and pass it on to Jason, he could share it with us.
Yeah, I was gonna look, I'll look at the electrical plan and see what's hardwired. And I'll also have a discussion with QK and review that memo that was written. I'll get it buttoned up and or bundle it up into something that's understandable and share with Jason and you.
Okay.
One of the things that, when you analyze the photovoltaic responses, we've got a battery backup. What exactly is that battery backup going to power? Don't we have battery backup? There's no battery backup.
No, there's no
Just-
battery backup.
Okay.
I think that. Oh, yeah, move on. Okay. Any other questions for Dawn or comments? No. Okay. Thanks, Dawn.
All right, thank you. See you guys soon. Okay.
Back to,
All right.
Parent community comment? Yeah. Hi. You're from MCOE, yes? Tell us your name again. And your name again?
Veronica Bezos, do you want me to?
Yes, please. Because you were here a few months ago, weren't you?
No,
No.
I've never been
Oh,
here.
okay.
Well, I actually was here, I think, last school year. We did a board meeting out of the same room, so.
Oh, okay.
Good evening. My name is Veronica Baser. I'm the superintendent's liaison for Mendocino County Office of Education. And I'm here on behalf of Mendocino County Office of Education as we celebrate School Board Recognition Month. It's an honor to acknowledge and the incredible work you do as a school board member. I handed out little tiny gifts. It's just a flashlight, but it has a sweet little message on there about just the work that you guys do and how much we appreciate it. Serving as a school board member is not a small task. It takes countless hours in preparation and tough decision-making. The steadfast commitment to students, families, and the community, and the educators. Your work often comes unseen, and it's behind the scenes. But it does impact the kids in the classroom and every school in your district, and just also to hearing the success of the students. So on behalf of MCOE, we want to thank you for your leadership and your advocacy for high quality education. We deeply appreciate all the work you do and look forward to continuing to partner up with supporting schools in Mendocino County. So that was my little spiel, and thank you for allowing me to speak today. So.
Thank you. Appreciate it. 8.2, Phase 3.
Yeah, well, some things have been completed, which is wonderful. The drinking fountains on the soccer field and the lacrosse field are in. They're the outdoor drinking fountains and water filling stations. The tank issue with not being able to fill the tank at night has been resolved. So we should be able to now fill the tank whenever we want. It's it'll have that valve that will turn it off, so or it'll stop filling. So that's done.
How long does it take to fill up the tank?
I don't know. I want to say like 8 hours.
I mean, it's a 30,000 gallon tank, so 8 hours
8
is,
hours, maybe 8 is all day.
you know.
Is that about right? Sound about right? I always thought
No,
it
I
was
know we
No,
have
it's,
6 to 8
it's how
hours.
fast the water's flowing
Yeah,
in
no,
there.
I
how
don't
big
remember.
and how big a pipe is coming down.
I don't remember
It's
the
a
exact
10-inch
number.
pipe up to here. So
So
I don't know,
it's
it's
I don't think
probably,
it's a 10-inch.
probably only 4-inch pipe from here to
Yeah.
the tank. You know,
But that's a relief. The soccer field renovation is looking really good. If you take a look out there, so that's great. The terracing for the spectators is also done. Also, when Terry was here, he did a lot of cleanup with all the spoils that were underneath the cypress trees, and so he made that look a lot nicer as well. And then we have a scoreboard that is ordered, and they're going to install that when that comes. Ruben is just about finished with the metal work at the
can
comm
I
school.
interrupt about
Yeah.
the soccer field? Do you have a guesstimate as to how much we spent on those renovations?
The soccer field, what I just said at the soccer field was
Right.
78,000.
78,000? That included the water tank and the terracing?
Oh, no, the water tank, and the drinking fountains was 12.
For the 78 was
So
the
90
field,
the terracing,
spectators,
and the
grading.
grading, yeah. Ruben is just about done with the metal work at the comm school, and he was finishing up the painting, and then a section of there's this in the entry of the comm school. If you look up, there are these windows that are they're windows, but they're fake windows, but they're windows. They don't go into anywhere. It's just the bottom of that section completely rotted out. So we have a leak that was happening along those windows that are really not worth anything except for aesthetics. So he's now replacing the wood and the siding on the front of the face of the comm school entrance. So glad he was right there, and it's going to be a quick fix. Then he's going to move on to the locker rooms when he can, and then to the wood shop. Those are his tasks. And then back to phase 2. We have 3, as of tomorrow, we'll have 3 quotes for painting the dark room. So we'll get that done too as soon as possible. So things are moving along. Got a lot of work going on.
Any update on the tree removal between the PAC and the MCN building?
Yep, they're scheduled to come, I believe, February 8th, first or second week of February to get that
How
done.
long is it going to take?
I don't know. I could look back at the quote, but it was pretty quick. It's Family Tree Service. They have a big crew.
They're going to bring cranes and
Yeah.
whatnot and just cut in sections and take it out?
Yeah, and remove it.
And we don't have to worry about where they're taking it, right?
Nope.
Away.
'Cause I don't have anywhere to put it.
I spoke with Ruben a little bit just yesterday. He was
Uh-huh.
asking me some questions about what he ran into, and I just, again, come in, I think we made a really good decision having him tackle some of this stuff. I trust his skill set. He seems to be fine working on his own. I think as long as we can keep him going on any of the projects, it's really well spent money.
And that's another decision we might have to make in March, is with whether or not we want to continue that for another year. And at this point, I would recommend it, but we can have that discussion later, because he's really proven to be valuable.
And definitely cost effective.
And he's just around to be helpful in any way as well. You know, whether it's helping the maintenance guys do something, or it's or helping our custodians real quick. I mean, he's another body around that knows exactly what he's doing and when to do it. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to our meeting facilities with the NV5 and then coming back to the board. We can talk about the numbers a little, yeah? Now,
Sure.
is it not too?
Yeah.
We've got the 3 bids. 2 were very close, right within our budget, a
Yep.
million.
1.3 or so?
I thought it was even
Ish.
less, 1.15 or something like that. And then 1 was quite a bit higher, and then I think even went up a little as the.
It was over two.
negotiated
It
some
was over $2
details.
million by the
And
end.
it was for a smaller
And it was a little bit smaller.
number of.
Apparently, it's an outfit that's working on the coast and was claiming that, oh, you better make sure those other folks know what they're giving you, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, just way too out of the realm. Apparently, we don't have to choose lowest bid. The state has some allowance for these projects for some reason. I can't see why we would go with that company. So I think it's going to be between the two. I haven't delved into the paperwork between them, but Emily and Jason and I had a quick call this morning and generated some more questions for Jason to pass on to NV5. And so hopefully they'll have some answers for us and we can do it.
So is it still true that some things have to be lowest bid and some don't then?
Well, so in this process, they're using some process that I'm not aware of, but I was very clear to ask that question. He said you just have to do certain noticing 2 weeks before the contract is approved. So if the timeline holds true, 2 weeks before the March board meeting, we'll have to send some kind of notice out. But it's a process that they've used in the past, and I don't know, with this work, maybe.
My understanding it was something specific to this category of work.
Yeah, I'd never heard
And
of
I
it.
don't know if it's because it's so frequently design build, and I'm just hypothesizing, but apparently there is an allowance that the state has given them. But I don't, so, it's good that these other 2 firms are close, but we can take, if one is 10 or 20,000 over, but we feel like they are more competent or are offering a better product. There was a couple, they all had submitted different completion dates, one of which was beyond what we said we needed it done by. So that's definitely a big flag, because we have that hard deadline with PG&E.
Right.
So that's a big must.
Another one changed the array.
Right, one of them
locations.
added another array on this side of the lower parking lot. I don't know why they chose to do that.
Were these all by the bidder that was higher, or?
No, those
I think
two.
so, that was one of the other 2.
Those 2.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it sounds like there's only one that kept to the specs and
I'm not sure if it was
It
which
may
one
have
did
been
which.
one. It may have been one was beyond the deadline and one switched the array.
oh, okay, so
Hopefully
they're
they'll all-
both, so
hopefully they'll all-
no,
there's-
we're totally.
yeah.
There's some work to be done.
Hopefully they'll all
Okay.
be able to rein it in. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, we have the locations, we all agreed
Right.
on. I think that's a pretty hard,
Right.
non-negotiable. And the time frame is definitely hard
Right.
non-negotiable, because if we don't meet PG&E's deadline, we're in a big,
And they all clearly understood that.
I mean, I haven't been in any of these conversations, but I know NV5 stated it in their
Yeah.
paperwork. I'm not sure how they didn't grok that. One of them was actually incredibly optimistic, almost, what Emily was saying, almost
They thought they could get it
unbelievably
done by.
optimistic. Thought they were going to be done this September.
Yeah.
So we've had some deadline issues in the past couple of years. In this case, what would happen if the person who was doing it didn't meet PG&E's?
Well, we talked about putting some kind of penalty in the contract, this significant
A
penalty.
big penalty or
Yeah,
something.
I think that's all, I mean, that's what we can do, and I don't know what we would do if bring in another firm, I don't know.
And also, what would happen if we started along the process and we didn't get the funding? We need to write that in the contract somehow too, and some kind of exit.
So we'll be bringing that back to the board, and, I mean, we had discussed having a special meeting if we need it, but maybe we don't. We'll see what NV5's timing is, I guess.
Yeah, I
To
think-
move it along as quickly as possible.
I think it would either be the special meeting or the facilities meeting, so we opted to go with the facilities meeting and then bring it back.
You
to
could
the full
also
board. The February board meeting's early
put it as
too.
part of the evaluation meeting.
What's that?
Don't we have a earlier meeting for evaluation?
Well, the February 13th meeting is one where there'll be a recommendation, but
Right.
you
But I
can
mean, in other words, if we
evaluate.
wanted to have a discussion prior to that for more questions, we could do it as a half hour cutting into the evaluation time.
Oh, I see, my evaluation.
Yeah.
Yes, got it. Yeah. I was like, I thought you meant evaluating the RFPs.
No.
Yeah, for sure.
So we'll discuss that further when we meet
Yeah.
next week. Okay, anything else on phase 3 items?
Well, that's a good point. I just totally forgot about that we do have another board meeting.
When is that?
It's my evaluation,
And what
which is
date?
I think it's the first Tuesday,
Yeah.
Of February?
February, yeah.
So the 3rd, that would be the
So that could
4th.
be, if there's more, if necessary, we could at least do something that day, because we're all getting together anyway. I think he said that it has to be, I know the contract has to be given at a regular board meeting, but I'm not sure about any kind of intent to award. He was very clear to say that it had to be at a regular board meeting. So.
And noticed
But if
10
it's
days
just a-
prior or something?
Yeah,
right?
but if it's just a discussion, then that could be different.
Anything else for phase 3? Okay. 8.3, consideration of leave request. Jason, do you have a recommendation for this or info?
Yeah, this is for an employee who is requesting a leave to do student teaching, to complete her student teaching assignment, and I would recommend that we approve this leave.
I move that we, or do you have discussion first?
No, go ahead.
I move that we approve the leave request.
I'll second.
Okay. Any further discussion from board members? Audience? Online? Nothing, Aaron?
Student trustee Kinsland,
Yes.
trustee Floyd,
Yes.
trustee Schaefer,
Yes?
trustee Morton,
Yes?
trustee Ohm.
Yes. Okay, that's the entirety. Anything to add for future agenda items, changes? No? Okay, next meeting, February 13th, is that correct here?
No, first Tuesday.
First
Well,
Tuesday.
Regular meeting.
Regular
Regular
meeting,
meeting,
13th,
got it,
first
yeah.
Tuesday, yeah. Okay, adjourned.